Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the Skills Gap Conference 2023. My name is Francis Montemuro. I work with Vuvio. I've been with Vuvio 5 years. Prior to joining Vuvio, I'd spent 30 years in the industry working for DuPont. And these last 5 years that I've been out have really seen a real change in some of the challenges. COVID being one, but then the whole skills gap. So looking forward to spending the day talking about the skills gap, some of the challenges in the industry. Before we get started though, I want to introduce David Gosnay to give us a safety pause. David joins us. He works for LyondellBasell and is responsible for training and leadership development for operations and maintenance at the Channelview facility. His spans a 45-year career in which he's held various roles in operations leadership and currently leads workforce development initiatives at the local colleges. So please join me in welcoming David.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. My name's David. I work for LyondellBasell. Welcome to the Center for Petrochemical Technology and Energy. Really nice building. So I got a safety topic I want to share, but before that, talk a little bit about the building. So I know there's it's just a business as usual day. There's no maintenance plan and no events planned here other than this. And so in the event that we would need to leave the building, obviously there's doors right behind you. There's some to my left. If you happen to go down either one of the hallways, there's doors halfway down and all the way at the end of the hallway that you can exit the building. The restrooms are right behind these screens on both sides of the hallway. And then the campus is non-smoking. So the other thing is during the presentations today, they'll have these screens down, and at break time they'll raise them up. Lunchtime they'll raise them up. So during the presentation, if you need to use the restroom or something like that, if you could use the hall, there's a little hallway down here to the left that'll get you back to the restrooms instead of going back and forth through the screens. So appreciate that. Yeah, so good to see everybody. I know the weather can keep people from coming, but good to see everybody bright and early. So this bird walks into a bar. He orders this drink. Bartender sets it down, and Bird kind of looks at it like, calls the bartender back over, and the bartender says, "What's wrong?" He says, "Thought there was supposed to be a worm in here." He said, "You should have got here earlier." So early bird's got that one. Early bird's got that one. Yeah. So let's see. So I do have a safety pause. I'll get started on that. So everybody knows OSHA, right? OSHA is a governmental organization that was formed in 1970 to ensure workplace safety and health for people. And I looked at some of their statistics. So these statistics are from the website, but it's for all private industry across North America. And it caught my attention. 5,190 people died annually, right? Went to work last year and didn't come home. So that's almost 100 a week, 14 a day. Put that in perspective. By the end of this conference today, 5 or 6 people will have died today, and that's real statistics. So I thought, well, why is that? Why are they dying? And so here's the top 5 reasons: fall protection, lockout, tagout, hazardous communication, scaffolding. It's everything we do. It's everything we do. Or for the most people in this room, it's everything that we ask our employees to do. It's the reason that they're coming to work and not going home. And so then I looked a little further. I know this is dated, but the trend is still accurate because, like I said, last year it's a little over 5,000 people died. So for the purpose of this presentation, the dates, it's just a 20-year trend, and it was disturbing to me because even though in the 2009 there was a little bit of a step change, there's still averaging about 5,000 people a year that are going to work and not coming home. And I thought, OSHA comes in and they try to govern the workplace safety, and then people like us, we put policies and procedures in place, programs, practices, and still today, 5,000 people a year, 14 people a day are going to work and not coming home. I thought, that disturbs me because that was so odd to our industry. And I thought, why is that? So why is that? And I come up with one answer, but it's my answer, right? You might have a different answer than me, but I come up with one answer, and it's people. people is the reason that people aren't coming home from work. And so I thought, so I put together a little bit, a few pictures of these people, right? And so I got this off the internet, so it's true. These pictures are true. But this, here's one, right? Guy's got scaffolding. Scaffolding's on the topic, right? So you see the scaffolding by the bottom of his feet. At least he had some sense to put on some head protection. And this one's just wrong because he's got a helmet right in front of him, right? And he decided to put a bucket on his head. And he's got a friend behind him, right, that's watching it, which is problematic as well. And this guy, he's smiling at the camera because I think he's stealing cable right now, but doesn't have no shoes on. That's not his problem. That's not his biggest problem. So I actually slipped away and took this picture of a couple of our operators from our olefins unit on the weekend. I think the alcohol on the table was helping to contribute to some bad decision making there, putting a whole lot of trust in some flip-flops. I hope y'all can see the pictures. And then fall protection, right? Fall protection. I think his restraint system needs to be a little bit stronger, but that's just my opinion. And so these are really more realistic, right? It's probably something we'd probably see in our workplace, you know, not wearing PPE or, you know, overextending and different things like that, that really creates problems in the workplace. And so, you know, I got down to it's people and choices. It's just people and choices. People are willing to make choices that are inconsistent with working safe. And they're willing to take risks that we don't know. So if you overlay that with the skills gap, then it becomes very, very problematic. And this conference becomes very, very important to try to figure out how do we address that, because people are actually going to work and not coming home. And you know, we can get numb to that because we're not really exposed to it in our industry. And so, you know, we've got people here that are really, really smart in this area, and we got people here that are really, really curious about this. And so you get those two people together, and you know, we can hopefully come up with some really good solutions. So there's this guy, he was born with no ears. And even though he had this disability, he figured out how to be successful. And so he became the CEO of his own company, and he liked to make the final hiring decisions on any people that came into his organization. So he had an opening, he had 3 people became the finalists. He wanted to interview all of them. So they lined up in the lobby, and he called the first ones in, and he said, okay, one of the requirements of this job is you got to make critical assessments of people, and I need you to make a critical assessment of me. The guy looked at him and said, she ain't got no ears. He said, well, get out of here. Get out of my office right now. So he walks him out. Those 2 guys look at it like, man, that was fast. Calls the second guy and sets him down and says, one of the responsibilities of this job is to make critical assessments of people. I need you to make a critical assessment of me. He says, you ain't got no ears. He said, get out of my office and get out now. Walks him out, and as he's walking out, he looks at the third guy and he goes, so he walks in and he says, okay, I need, one of the responsibilities of this job is to make critical assessments of people. I need you to make a critical assessment of me. He looks at him. He says, you wear contacts. He goes, that's really good. How did you figure that out? He says, well, I figured you couldn't wear glasses because you ain't got no freaking ears. So the point is, today, in the sessions and as you go along, be good listeners, right? Be good listeners, engage in the conversation, and really participate, and try to make sure that we don't continue this trend of really bad results, right? That we help people come to work and go home exactly the way they came, especially if they come to our site. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a really, really good conference, and I hope you make it better. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, David.